Under the shimmering haze of a late morning sun in San Francisco, the city pulsed with an electric energy that only the Bay Area could muster. Towering glass skyscrapers pierced the sky like crystal spears, reflecting the endless blue above, while luxury electric cars whispered along the bustling streets below. Amid this symphony of ambition and innovation stood one man who seemed to embody it all: Ethan Cole, the self-made tech titan whose empire had skyrocketed him to millionaire status before he even hit 35. With his chiseled jaw, piercing blue eyes, and a navy suit tailored to perfection, Ethan exuded the kind of confidence that turned heads and commanded boardrooms. He had clawed his way up from nothing, building a company that revolutionized AI-driven logistics, amassing wealth, fame, respect, and an ironclad grip on power. But as he strode out of his gleaming corporate headquarters that fateful morning, briefcase in hand and mind already racing through a gauntlet of high-stakes meetings, he had no inkling that his meticulously controlled life was teetering on the edge of oblivion. Not saved by his elite security detail, not by his vast fortune, but by the pure, unfiltered innocence of a little girl's voice, a voice that would echo through his soul forever. Before we dive deeper into this heart-pounding tale of fate, courage, and redemption, if you're someone who thrives on stories that blend suspense with soul-stirring miracles, where everyday heroes emerge from the shadows to rewrite destinies, hit that like button right now. Share this video with your friends who need a reminder that kindness can be the ultimate game changer, and don't forget to subscribe to Midnight Tales, your go-to channel for captivating narratives that keep you up late, pondering the magic hidden in ordinary moments. Because tales like this one prove that even in a world of cutthroat ambition, a single act of bravery can shatter barriers and ignite profound change. Ethan's morning had unfolded like clockwork, a well-oiled machine of efficiency that left no room for error or emotion. His penthouse alarm had buzzed at 5 a.m. sharp, followed by a rigorous workout in his private gym overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, a protein shake gulped, and a dive into emails that could make or break multi-million-dollar deals. By 9 a.m., he was in the office, barking orders at his executive team, impressing venture capitalists with projections that promised exponential growth, and slicing through deadlines with the precision of a surgeon. Empathy. That was a luxury he couldn't afford in his glass-walled fortress, where vulnerability was a weakness and human connections were mere transactions. His employees whispered about his ruthlessness behind closed doors, competitors plotted in envy, and Ethan had long ago tuned out the world, listening only to the relentless drumbeat of his own ambition. He was untouchable, or so he believed. But destiny, that sly architect of surprises, has a knack for humbling even the mightiest egos, often through the most unassuming messengers. Just across the sun-dappled courtyard from Ethan's towering edifice sat a humble food cart, a splash of color and aroma in the otherwise sterile corporate landscape. It was run by May, a resilient woman in her early 30s with a warm smile that belied the hardships she'd endured. She and her 7-year-old daughter, Lily, had immigrated from a small village in China just over a year ago, chasing the American dream amid the fog-shrouded hills of San Francisco. May's cart specialized in steaming bowls of authentic noodles and fragrant jasmine tea, drawing in hurried office workers who craved a taste of home amid their caffeine-fueled rushes. Lily, with her wide, curious eyes framed by dark pigtails and a perpetual soft smile that could melt the iciest heart, was her mother's constant companion. While May hustled to serve customers, Lily perched on the stone steps of Ethan's building, lost in her imaginative world with a worn rag doll named May. She would hum tunes from back home, her tiny fingers weaving stories in the air, oblivious to the giants of industry striding past her. Ethan had glimpsed them in passing, the mother with her steaming wok, the child with her innocent play, but they registered as mere blips on his radar, invisible threads in the tapestry of his empire. They were ordinary, unremarkable, beneath his notice in a life measured by stock ticks and acquisition announcements. Yet, on this particular morning, an undercurrent of unease rippled through the air, thick and unspoken, like the fog rolling in from the bay. The usual banter among the security guards at the entrance felt muted, their postures rigid with a tension that prickled the skin. Lily, absorbed in her doll's adventures, suddenly perked up, her keen ears catching snippets of conversation that floated on the breeze. Three of Ethan's security detail, tall, imposing figures in crisp black uniforms who typically stood like silent sentinels, huddled near the sleek black luxury sedan idling at the curb. They were murmuring in Mandarin, assuming the language shielded their words from prying ears in this English-dominated city. To any passerby, it might have seemed like casual chatter among colleagues. But to Lily, fluent in the tongue of her homeland, it was a chilling revelation that froze her in place. One guard, a burly man with a scar snaking down his cheek, whispered urgently, "Make sure he gets in the car." The timer activates the moment the door slams shut. His companion, lean and shifty-eyed, nodded with a smirk. "It'll look like a tragic accident, engine malfunction, perhaps. No one will point fingers at us." The third added in a low growl, "Our employer will be thrilled. Cole's empire crumbles, and we vanish into the shadows." Lily's small hands trembled, clutching May tighter as her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. She didn't grasp every nuance, the intricacies of corporate espionage or the deadly stakes, but the malice in their tones screamed danger. These were the same men she saw every day, guarding the tall stranger in the blue suit who never smiled back at her waves. The man who strode out each morning like a king, unaware of the peril lurking in his own ranks. Instinct surged through her tiny frame, a primal urge to act. She glanced toward her mother, but May was engulfed in a flurry of orders, ladling noodles into takeaway bowls with focused precision. There was no time to explain, no moment to hesitate. Swallowing her fear, Lily bolted upright and dashed across the courtyard, her little sneakers slapping against the pavement in a frantic rhythm. Ethan emerged from the revolving doors at that exact instant, his mind already dissecting the upcoming investor pitch. He barely registered the blur of movement until Lily skidded to a halt mere inches from him, her chest heaving, eyes wide as saucers with unbridled terror. Annoyance flickered across his features. Who was this child, this interruption in his flawless routine? He opened his mouth to brush her off with a curt "Watch where you're going," but the words dissolved on his tongue as he took in her quivering lips and the raw panic etched on her innocent face. Time seemed to stretch, the courtyard's bustle fading into a distant hum. "Don't get in your car," Lily gasped, her voice a fragile whisper laced with urgency, her accent adding an exotic lilt that made the warning even more poignant. Ethan blinked, confusion knitting his brows. Behind her, the guards shifted subtly, their eyes darting with concealed alarm. "What did you just say?" he demanded, his tone sharp but intrigued, a rare crack in his armored facade. Lily's voice rose, trembling yet resolute. "They said your car will explode." The revelation crashed over him like an icy tidal wave from the Pacific, drowning out the city's symphony. His pulse thundered in his ears, the world narrowing to this pint-sized oracle and the sinister tableau unfolding at the curb. He pivoted slowly, his gaze locking onto the trio by the sedan. Their stares were too intent, their postures too coiled for comfort. A long-buried gut instinct, honed from his scrappy startup days before the suits and security, screamed validation. These weren't protectors, they were predators. "Everyone, freeze!" Ethan bellowed, his voice booming across the courtyard like a thunderclap. The imposters tensed, one slipping a hand into his jacket pocket, perhaps for a detonator, perhaps for something worse. Ethan's blood ran cold, adrenaline surging as his true head of security, Harris, a grizzled veteran with unwavering loyalty, burst from the building's shadows, weapon drawn. Chaos erupted in a whirlwind of motion. Shouts pierced the air, boots pounded the concrete, and bystanders scattered like leaves in a storm. Harris yanked Ethan backward just as the scarred guard lunged, his face twisted in fury. Then, with a deafening roar that rattled windows and sent shards of glass raining down, the sedan detonated. Flames billowed skyward in a furious orange inferno, the shockwave hurling bodies to the ground amid acrid smoke and deafening alarms. Screams echoed through the haze, the once pristine courtyard transformed into a war zone of debris and panic. In that maelstrom, Ethan's instincts overrode his ego. He flung himself over Lily, shielding her fragile form with his own broad frame as fragments pelted his back. The heat singed his suit, but he held firm, his arms a protective cocoon around the girl who had just upended his world. When the flames subsided and the dust settled, the truth clawed its way into the light. The guards were mercenaries, planted by a ruthless rival firm desperate to dismantle Ethan's dominance. Hired assassins cloaked in uniforms, their plot foiled by a child's eavesdropping. If not for Lily's daring sprint, Ethan would have been reduced to a headline, a tragic loss in the cutthroat tech wars. The ensuing hours blurred into a frenzy, police sirens wailing, handcuffs clicking on the subdued imposters, news vans swarming like vultures. Reporters thrust microphones forward, hungry for sound bites on the miracle in the courtyard. But Ethan tuned it all out, perched on the curb with his once immaculate suit torn and soot-streaked, his hands shaking not from fear, but from a profound awakening. Beside him sat Lily, her tiny fingers gripping his sleeve as if anchoring him to reality, her doll May clutched in her lap. When their eyes met, a dam burst within him, years of isolation, pride-fueled armor, and hollow victories crumbling under the weight of genuine gratitude. This child, this stranger from across the world, had seen what his fortunes couldn't, the fragility of life. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues over the chaos, Ethan sought out May at her cart, now cordoned off by yellow tape. He stood there awkwardly, a titan reduced to humility, before clearing his throat. "Your daughter. She saved my life today," he said softly, his voice cracking for the first time in years. May's eyes widened, tears welling as she pulled Lily close. Through halting conversations, Ethan learned their story, the grueling immigration process, the scrimping on rent in a cramped apartment, the skipped meals so Lily could have seconds. They were survivors, much like he had been once, before success numbed his empathy. That night, alone in his sprawling loft with its panoramic views, Ethan paced the marble floors, replaying the day's events. The explosion's echo lingered in his mind, but so did Lily's voice, a beacon piercing his self-imposed darkness. By dawn, a resolve had crystallized. He would repay this debt, not with handouts, but with empowerment. The next morning, he invited May and Lily to his company's gleaming cafeteria, sans entourage or fanfare, just a man with a mended heart. To the astonishment of his staff, he announced a full sponsorship for May's venture, transforming her cart into a brick-and-mortar restaurant. For Lily, he pledged a comprehensive education fund, covering tuition from grade school to college, ensuring her dreams could soar unbound. Word of the incident rippled through the city like wildfire, headlines blaring tech mogul saved by child's whisper, and from boardroom to battlefield, a tale of corporate sabotage. Ethan's employees, once cowed by his intensity, glimpsed a softer side, the boss who now paused for hallway chats, who implemented flexible policies inspired by May's struggles. He began measuring success not in quarterly earnings, but in human impacts, the joy in a child's laugh, the relief in a mother's eyes, the quiet fulfillment of giving back. His rivals watched in bewilderment as his empire grew stronger, fueled by newfound authenticity. Months later, Lily's garden bloomed in downtown San Francisco, a cozy haven with walls adorned in vibrant children's artwork, warm lanterns casting a golden glow, and the irresistible scent of May's signature dishes wafting through. On opening night, amid clinking glasses and laughter, Ethan claimed a modest corner table, savoring a cup of jasmine tea brewed by May herself while Lily scampered nearby, her doll in tow. Gone was the arrogant armor, in its place, a man reborn, humbled by the realization that even titans need saviors, and that the mightiest revolutions spring from the gentlest souls. Every morning thereafter, before diving into his empire's demands, Ethan detoured to the restaurant. He'd kneel to Lily's level, his smile genuine and warm, and whisper, "You saved me once, little hero. The world craves more hearts like yours. Brave, kind, unstoppable." And in those moments, the city that never sleeps felt a little brighter, a testament to how one voice can echo eternally. If this riveting story of suspense, heroism, and transformation has gripped your imagination or reignited your faith in humanity's hidden wonders, smash that like button to show your support. Share it with those who love edge-of-your-seat tales laced with emotional depth, and subscribe to Midnight Tales for more midnight-worthy narratives that blend thrill with inspiration. Your engagement fuels our mission to uncover stories that prove compassion and courage can conquer even the darkest plots. Before you click away, drop a comment. If you were in Lily's shoes, would you summon the bravery to speak up against looming danger? Remember, the tiniest whisper can unleash the greatest change, and in this world of shadows, voices like hers light the way.